Welcome back, Wildcat fans, to another edition of the Deer Park Coaches Show. I'm Jake Snyder. He's Tucker Berger. Coach, as always, we're going to recap last week's game against Wyoming. Wildcats falling that one 56-20. Plenty of good things to talk about. Yep. We'll get into that. And then obviously we're going to look ahead to Friday night against Reading. This Friday starts a crucial 3-game stretch. Obviously the last 3 games of the year, but there's a lot to talk about moving into these last few weeks.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just, I think since that Indian Hill game, we've just gotten better each week.
I agree.
And I think that's really promising, just hitting your stride at the end of the year. So, I mean, throughout the week so far, the boys have seemed focused after the game last Friday. You know, they seemed really locked in. And they're just ready to go this week. Big week for us.
Yeah, it is. It's, you know, when it really comes down to it, these last 3, there is a lot to be had still for your team if you can pull out a few victories here. So, all right, let's jump back into last week. 56-20 loss at Wyoming. You know, it's funny. 2 weeks ago, we talked about the Indian Hill game, and I told you how proud I thought I was of the team for playing mistake-free football. You know, they didn't turn the ball over, not a lot of penalties. This game was a totally different ball game, but I still came away proud of this team for a totally different reason. I thought you guys were locked in as soon as that game started. You played with no fear, almost like reckless abandon. Just like, hey, let's roll them out and see what happens. Nobody expects us to do anything in this game. And for the first really, you know, almost 24 minutes, you're right in that thing.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the things we stressed before the game going into it was, I mean, you know, if you want to be the best, you got to go out there and beat the best.
No
and you really have nothing to lose, so you might as well go out there, play 100%. Don't question yourself after if you played 100%, and I really think all the guys did that. And I think the most promising thing for me and the thing that I really enjoyed the most about it is I think everyone's energy, effort, and just their mindset, it just was positive all the way throughout. I mean, Indian Hill, Finneytown, there were some cracks here and there, and, you know, we had some guys pointing some fingers, but you know, we didn't have that this past week, and I think that just shows them, hey, if you guys play together, you pick each other up, like this is what can happen. Yeah,
for sure. And you looked at me before that game started, right as you guys were getting ready to run out on the field, and you said, man, I think they're locked in. And you showed it right off the bat. You're right in this game headed into halftime with about 5 minutes left before the half. It's 28-14. You guys got the ball coming out of the half. Things kind of broke down after that to end the half. But just kind of leading up to that, those moments, even when you're down 28-7, it was funny because it never felt like your team was out of it. It felt like they were still locked in, still looking at each other saying, hey, let's go do this. Just talk about that first part of that game and what you guys did so well there.
Well, I think a lot of it was our offense. It really just felt like for the first time all year,
I agree,
just how it was supposed to look.
Yep.
I mean, you know, our triple was hitting better than it's hit before. And I mean, it's kind of funny to say that when you're playing such a good team that usually has a great defense.
Yeah.
But I even think with that, it just seemed like, you know, everything we'd worked on in practice, everything we had prepared for, it just led to that moment, and our guys just really took advantage of it. And they played great, and I think that's all I can ask. And, you know, it just has to keep getting better and better until, you know, whenever we end.
Looking at your offensive side of the ball, you finished with over 300 yards of offense, 226 yards rushing. Morgan Brown has 7 carries, 75 yards, big touchdown, obviously, early in the game. Tink Sellers, 11 carries, 66 yards. He scores a touchdown. Alford has 6 carries, 32 yards. He scores a touchdown. The balance of your offense of this game was the thing that I think I walked away most impressed with. Shoot, the 2 passes that Tink threw as well, one to Morgan and the other one to Guzman. Man, like balance-wise, you guys were all over the field. It was tough to pinpoint anybody that was going to get the ball next.
And I think that, I mean, that just shows that our offense is improving. I mean, we didn't have any guys, you know, calling for the ball or wanting the ball. I mean, we'd huddle up and guys would say, hey, this is open. Hey, let's run this.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're seeing the game a little bit better, and I think it's finally at a point where they're confident with what we're doing. And, I mean, like I've said before, I don't count carries. I don't know who's touching the ball. You know, there's 3 options on the play. But, you know, Tink did a really good job of reading it and getting the ball out if he needed to pitch it. I mean, the first play we scored on.
Yeah.
I mean, he almost gets hit right in the face and he gets it out. And I just think he really carried a lot of the offense just based on his mindset and how locked in he was. I mean, we'll see the throw to Kevin. He got smoked, but he stood in there and hit Kevin right in stride. So.
By far his best throw of the year. We'll look at it, but it was by far his best throw of the year.
I think just when you have all the guys, and I said it earlier, when all the guys are in the same mindset and they all have that same belief, I mean, we're hard to stop. And, you know, we had talked earlier in the week about, you know, what is success? How are you going to define your success this week? I mean, it might not be winning the game, but, you know, I don't know the last time we've scored 20 points on Wyoming. I don't know the last time we've ran for maybe over 150 yards on them. So, I mean, those were just things that I think all of them felt really positive about. Even during halftime, I know we were down 42-14, but I mean, they were still in it. They were still happy. They were still excited to be there.
Sure.
And I think that showed coming out of halftime too when we went down the field.
I actually thought defensively, again, 56 points, but one's a pick six, a couple short fields, things like that. There were some key takeaways there that I thought were pretty good. Guzman and Warner both have 8 tackles. McHugh has 6 tackles, and obviously the interception. I thought you guys pressured the ball pretty well when they threw the ball. You really kind of limited their passing offense. Obviously, you know, the Hancock kid is a stud. He might be the player of the year this year in the CHL. And he tore you up a little bit, but I thought there were defensively some positives to take away. Again, if you can create turnovers against a team that doesn't make a lot of mistakes, that's not a bad place to be.
Yeah, and I think, you know, on both sides of the ball, you're going to get mental lapses here and there. I know, you know, they scored on a screen and go, you know, and that was just a miss up in coverage.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Joel over there, he's real good.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's hard to just emulate that in practice when you don't have a guy like that to step in there. So I think it felt like at times we were maybe just a half second behind them. But I think that comes with experience and, you know, them just being to the level they've been to before.
Yeah.
But I think for even that gap, I thought we played well. And, I mean, they didn't quit. I mean, they could have quit when as soon as we got at halftime, giving up 42 in the first half, but they didn't. And, I mean, I'm really proud of the effort. I mean, obviously it sucks to lose and you'd like to win, but
for sure.
I think it just shows the growth we've made since week 1.
For sure. All right, let's jump into some film here. We're actually going to start on the defensive side of the ball because I thought this was a crucial possession in this game. It's the first possession. Yeah. Against a team like Wyoming, it is hard to get off the field. And if you're able to get off the field, especially on the first drive of the game, I thought this kicked off the momentum so much. And so this first play here, CJ Warner is going to knock this ball down on a 3rd and 4 and force the punt. They picked up 1 first down, and that was it on this first drive, and you get the ball back, and you're going to take it down to score. But talk to me about this 3rd and 4.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that was really huge for just the whole team was just getting a stop to start the game. You know, limiting an offense like that, it instills a little bit of, you know, confidence and belief in you just going into the whole thing. But CJ does a good job. You know, he doesn't really pass rush, but he stands him up just to make sure he knows what's going on. And, I mean, he gets his hands up and knocks it down. I mean, that's just a good play by a freshman just being an athlete. And I mean, just he's come so far, and he works every week, and I see him, he's asking questions, and he just wants to make sure he's doing the best he can. I mean, he was a guy that we moved from linebacker to DN this year just to really get a little bit more depth there, and he's really taken it and ran with it so far. So I'm just excited for him and just to keep seeing how much better he gets each and every week.
Well, and one thing you talk about all the time from a defensive line perspective is if you can't get to the quarterback, find a lane and get your hands up. Yeah. I will say, though, one thing that's worth talking about, the backside coverage was pretty decent on this play as well. You know, maybe they make that catch, maybe they don't. But, again, CJ getting his hands up and forcing a punt. I don't think you can understate or overstate how important that was in that game just from a confidence perspective from your guys. Yeah. All right. We're going to jump ahead here. This play is run so well. From start to finish here. Morgan's going to take this 63 yards for a touchdown, but his run was only the last 10% of what was done well in this play.
Yeah, I mean, you look at all phases, Tink does a good job of pulling it. You know, all week we worked on that backer coming off the edge and getting the pitch out quick. And then, I mean, it's just our skill guys, they love to block.
Yeah.
And, I mean, EJ is one of those guys who just, he loves blocking, and he'll come over to the sideline and just talk about pancaking guys. And, you know, and it's just funny because you don't expect that out of him because he's not the biggest guy, but he'll come out and he'll hit you right in the chest and lock up with you. So, I mean, they do a good job of, you know, blocking each other. And the thing I really love is, like, even Alfred, he's carrying out the fake and getting tackled on the backside.
Yep.
And, I mean, you see him chasing Morgan down the field, getting excited for him. So I think this play just kind of shows where we can get to when we do things the right way and when we play for each other. I mean, all of our guys are excited. All of our guys are hyped for Morgan. I mean, you got guys chasing him down the field, chasing him into the end zone. It's just, I felt like that really gave us a place to keep building off of.
Yeah.
I mean, we could have went out there, went 3 and out, punted the ball back, and kind of had our heads down the rest of the game. But just that little bit of success at the game, I think, just set us up for everything else.
Yeah, I think that's not something to miss as a point there, is if you punt that and they go down and score a touchdown, everything might be totally different. Just seeing success breeds success in its own right. So we're going to jump back to the defensive side of the ball here. We've talked about this kid, basically week in and week out, but getting turnovers in this game was always going to be huge.
Yeah.
And Riley McHugh just comes and makes a play right here.
Yeah. And I mean, throughout the week, we had talked about, creating pressure, creating turnovers, and getting our offense back on the field. We had confidence that we could do some stuff when we got on the field, and he just does a good job of sinking, and he tracks the ball well. And I mean, even if he doesn't pick that off, I think Tink's behind him, so we did a good job. But really, I mean, PJ up the middle.
Yep.
I mean, he blitzes and he forces him out, and rolling away from the side you're naturally throwing to and trying to throw across your body. I mean, that's a tough throw for anybody.
For sure. That was my note on this one, is obviously McHugh does everything right, the things he's supposed to do. That backside, it probably does. But what makes this play is the pressure that happens early in this. It's PJ coming up the middle. It's CJ, actually, I think, gives pressure. He's actually the one that makes the hit on the quarterback there. You guys getting to the ball, swarming to the ball, forcing them out of the pocket, off platform, and making bad throws. That's, just moving forward the rest of this year. That's how you're going to run up against a bunch of teams that like to throw the ball here over the next few weeks, and that's what you're going to have to do.
I mean, that's the thing. We know, Reading, they like to run the ball, but they got a quarterback that's capable and will throw the ball. Mm-hmm. Marymount, they're going to run the ball, but they got a quarterback who wants to throw, and then we get to Madeira, who likes to throw it around. So I think we just got to keep developing and keep working on that pass rush and getting to the quarterback. I mean, that's going to help us
for sure.
Not even through these next weeks, but as we get into the playoffs.
Yeah, just all the way through. All right, jump ahead 2 plays here. We alluded to this play earlier. Tink's going to throw this 53-yard pass to Guzman. This play, like I said before, I really think this was his best throw of the year. He does everything really, really well here. So just talk me through this one.
Yeah, and, I want to give a shout-out. I think this is probably the best game our offensive line's played as well.
Yep.
I mean, he had time to sit in the pocket and throw the ball too. But, I mean, we had talked throughout, not even just this week, but all week, like leading up to this, just staying in the pocket, trusting yourself and making the throw. And, shoot, I mean, he had every reason to try to get out of there.
Yep.
But, I mean, he stayed in there, threw the ball. I mean, I can't even tell you how far that throw is. It's, from the 40 to maybe the opposite, 30.
Yeah, at least.
So, I mean, that's about a 35, 40-yard throw.
As he's getting crushed.
With someone right in your face. I mean, that's tough to do, but that also just shows you, I mean, the development he's made since the start of the year.
Yeah, for sure.
And this is a kid who's only a sophomore, so he's going to make mistakes, but it's also a kid who's, only in his 7th game as a starting quarterback, playing a quarterback in an offense he's never played quarterback in before. Yep. So, I mean, this is just, it's really, really nice to see that he's kind of taking what we're saying to him and taking the coaching. And, really, I think this was a play that the guys were like, oh, shoot, like, okay, Tank.
Wait a second.
Let's pick him up and let's go. No, it's great. I mean, both of the guys are open.
Yeah.
I mean, Riley's open on the wheel.
on the wheel side, yep.
I mean, he picked and chose, and he took the post. And, I mean, he hits one later in the game that we have a penalty on, but still that one was a great throw too. So I think, if he's able to throw the ball like this and he has the confidence to stay in there and make the throws, I mean, that just adds so much to our offense.
For sure. The one just thing, it's very subtle, and you have to watch it from the backside to really understand even what happened in this play. But as he kind of carries out the handoff on the play action there, the end on the right side is coming hard, and he just kind of shifts to his left just a little bit. That little footwork like that's quarterback stuff. You know what I mean? Like that is stuff that a guy who hasn't played quarterback isn't going to typically do. And the development to be able to realize, shift your weight, take that 2 steps to your right, give yourself that extra quarter second, half second to make that throw. That's why it was so impressive to me.
And I mean, he throws the ball extremely unconventional at times, but you know, I've talked to a lot of people, and I know I've mentioned Tony DeMeo before. I mean, talking to him, it's don't overcoach the athlete. So, I mean, letting Tink be Tink sometimes works, and I mean, this just shows you that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, we're gonna jump ahead to the second quarter here. You're down 28-7 at this point. It did feel like after you didn't score, so after that pass, we fumbled on the next play, unfortunately, and we talked about it. You know, mistakes sometimes happen trying to make a play. So they go down and score, and it creates this 28-7 score, and things kind of feel like they're starting to get away from you a little bit. But then your offense steps right up, and these back-to-back plays, I think, are so worth looking at, because this is the triple being run just very well back-to-back.
And I mean, we played the game pretty much just in our base set the whole game, which I think helped us a lot. But, you know, Tink does a good job of pressing the read key. He gets it out. And, I mean, Morgan gets enough of the guy just to get him to go. But that's a good block down the sideline by Kevin. You know, he's running that corner off, and then as soon as the corner realizes it and comes back, Kevin gets hands on.
And that's actually EJ that's running on that ball.
Yeah, so when EJ gets that, I mean, he just gets down the sideline and makes a play. I wasn't anticipating on us going really fast with tempo at all, but
you know, I caught that when you did it. I was watching from the sidelines. You said, "Get up on the line." I don't think I've ever seen a Deer Park team run tempo in the entire 8 years I've been here.
That was the thing. Is as soon as we hit the big play, it was okay. Hey, they're going to be reaching for something now. We might as well go and just see what we can get out of them. And I mean,
and you're going to look at it right here. I'm going to just jump right ahead to it, because
just flip the side, and I mean that's just a good move. That's a good block right there. And I mean, there's EJ block. Just basing up the guy that walks up over him, and Tink does a good job making a move, gets outside, and then I mean, he just does what he does, gets down the sideline and runs.
And there's that elusive speed we were talking about, and we've talked about so much. It almost doesn't look like he's running fast. But he beats that guy to the sideline, and then just beats everybody. Bad angles across the way, and it's because I don't want to say it doesn't look like he's running fast, because certainly he's a fast kid, but it's just a sneaky speed that is so impressive with him.
And that's I've told a lot of people that it's, you know, you see some kids on film and they don't always look the fastest, but their strides are so long. And I mean, maybe it is hard to tell how fast we are on film. I don't know. I mean, I see these kids every day in practice running. I'm like, shoot, like you guys are tough to keep up with. But I see it. I mean, I see it every day in person. So, I mean, I think that might be the same thing for EJ and Morgan, but I think they all have different types of speed. I mean,
and that jump cut from Tink right at the line of scrimmage, you know, I could look at that all day. Like you said, it's a good block, and he reads the block perfectly. If he drops underneath there, you know, he's going to pick up some yards, but he's not going to take it to the end zone.
He's
that's
not
for
going
sure.
45.
That was awesome to watch and a ton of fun. To see that one. All right. We're going to jump ahead to the second half now. Things are a little bit out of hand here, but I still think there were a few plays that I want to look at real quick that I think were worth looking at. And we're going to start with Morgan. He's going to have this ball on this one's going to be on 4th and 2 here as I get to it here. This is in the second half. This is, you know, coming out. You talked about it. Scoring in this on this drive was big, just from a confidence standpoint, from where you are in the game standpoint. You have to pick up this first down before you can do that, and this is a nice run here.
Yeah, and, you know, a lot of people don't know this, but I was fully prepared to call a different play, and Tink got them all lined up, and Tink called the play on the line, and, I mean, that's something he's never done before. And I was shocked, and, you know, I was kind of like, all right, let's just go with it. I mean, if it doesn't work, then we'll learn from it. If it does work, I mean, maybe he knows a lot more than I thought he did. But, I mean, he does a good job still of, you know, we get a little bit of backside pressure, but he pulls it, and, I mean, he gets the pitch out quick enough to get Morgan to the edge. And, I mean, we just got bodies on bodies, and we get enough of guys for Morgan to just make a move and get out. I mean, as soon as he picks up that 2 yards he needs, he just gets vertical and gets the rest of it. But, I mean, it's just good play design all around. I mean, our offensive line's getting a little bit of a push, and we're coming off to the guys we need to. I mean, Andre's right there, the second level on the backer, picking him up, and at least slowing him down from getting over top. So, I mean, it's just a well-run play on fourth down and gets us what we need.
Yeah, and that's the key there. We talk about Tink being a sophomore. You got to have ice water in your veins to run the triple option in general, but to do it really well, when you watch the good teams on Saturdays, the Navies and the Armies and all those teams, their quarterbacks take an absolute beating because of this. They're able to hold on to it just long enough just to carry out that fake. It would have been really easy, him seeing that end crashing hard right there, to pull that dive a little bit earlier and make that pitch. But what happens there is if he does that, the end coming from the left side goes straight to Morgan. It's an 8-yard loss, and they got the ball. By him being able to carry out that fake just a little bit longer, hold everybody still, and get it out. And then Morgan's always going to make one guy miss. I mean, I think you can count on that on every single play that he runs the ball. So big play on fourth down there. The next one we're going to look at is 2 plays later, actually. And this one is going to be this is a wheel, actually, that you're going to run. This is a nice little pass from Tink to Morgan on this play. Walk me through this one.
And we kind of knew that we were going to come back to it. We'd been setting it up just because our triple was hitting so well. And when that happens, it just opens up so much of that play action pass game. We hadn't ran it from this set yet, so we had been living in triple this way. But, those guys started diving down on the pitch, and that just left Morgan in that area wide open. Really would have liked to see him get in, but, I mean, he makes a few good moves and gets down, and we get a little extra. I don't know what they called on it. I think they called defensive holding on the post. Because Kevin beat him. But I think that them just jumping down on that really opened it up for him, and he didn't. I mean, it's not the greatest throw in the world, but it's enough just to get it.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to get it out there, right?
Just let him catch it. I mean, there's no one within probably 5-10 yards of him, so it's an easy completion, and you just let athletes be athletes after the catch. And when we're down on the 3 or the 2, I got full confidence that we're gonna get the ball in the end zone. Yeah,
and that's actually going to take us to the last play we're going to look at today. This play we're not looking at necessarily because of, I mean, it's a touchdown, obviously. It's just to talk about Isaiah Alford for a second, because one, I thought this was his best game of the year from a running the ball perspective. From a lot of things, he did really well in this game. But two, it's just awesome to see this guy get one into the paint.
Yeah, and I mean, I think throughout the whole game, you just saw him get better and better as the game went on. And I think you've seen that from week to week. I mean, starting at the Indian Hill game, I mean, he kind of popped out, and then Finneytown, he had the long run, and this game he gets in the end zone. He had a couple big runs in this game, so I think he's one that's just peaking at the right time. It's tough because one, you kind of lose him behind our offense line, but you don't realize how quick and then how strong he is when he runs the ball. But this is something we worked on in practice with the mesh and the cuts, and I mean, it's just nice to see that he's taking what we're working on and just making the plays. And I mean,
love that little jump cut. Also,
you're just going to lose him in there. I mean, I don't know many guys are sneaking through that hole like that. But, I mean, it helps having the 1-2 punch with him and Jaden, because you got one who will come in and run right through you, and you got the other one who will either run around you or right through you. So it's just a nice little compliment to have back there.
For sure. All right. We jump ahead now. We mentioned it before. You got 3 games coming up, but at the end of the day, the one in front of you is the only one that matters right now. You're traveling right down the road to a team. These two teams don't like each other. Let's throw that cliche out there, right? Throw out the record books when Reading and Deer Park go against each other. We can play it all that way. Reading comes in at 3-4, 2-2 in the CHL. This is a game they think they've got to win. It's a game you think you've got to win. It's as big as it gets. Crosstown rivalries like this. You got to be excited for one like this.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a game that I think all the guys get up for. I mean, outside of Wyoming, Reading's the only other CHL team I haven't beaten the 5 years I've been here. But I think the bigger thing for us is that we still have a lot of the things in front of us that we want to accomplish. I mean, posted all over our locker room are standing predictions where we're in last or we're in 7th. I mean, this is a game that's going to get you out of the cellar. I mean, this is a game that puts you right into that top half. If you win, and sets you up to be 6-4. And I mean, that's really what we've been stressing this week. I mean, do you want to be 4-6? Do you want to be 5-5, or do you want to finish 6-4? But I mean, Reading, they're well coached, they're physical. I mean, we know what we're going to get. And I mean, it's just the thing for us is, can we go out there? Can we bring that same aggression, that same focus we had last week, and put it into this game and hope for the best? For sure, it's going to be a hostile environment too. They're going to fill that place up. They're going to be loud. It's homecoming for them. I don't know why we're having homecoming. Well,
How do you kind of lock in that focus and make sure football's the focus? That's what we're doing. That's what we're there for.
Well, we had that conversation yesterday. It's just you got to stay off social media. Mm-hmm. Don't give them any bulletin board material. Do your talking on the field. I mean, we aren't in a place where we can go out there and say all this stuff and go out there and just hope to back it up. I mean, we really have to lock in. We really have to focus on us and then go out there and play our game. If we play our game and we play to the best of our ability, I mean, then we can't say anything else. Besides, we went out there, we gave it 110%. We tried our best. But, I mean, I think where we fall off sometimes is we get a little too – I'm trying to think the best way to say this. We get a little bit too, I think, just engulfed in the surrounding stuff. So we might get what people are saying to us or, what the fans are yelling at us or just in the crowd in general. But, I mean, that doesn't matter.
Yep.
What matters is you doing your assignment, you helping out the guy next to you and playing your game.
That's it. All right. That's going to do it for this week's episode of the Deer Park Coaches Show. Join us Friday night as we take on Reading on the road. Obviously a big one at Veterans Memorial Stadium over there in Reading. Big playoff implications at hand. So don't forget to follow us on YouTube for this week's show. Check us out on podcasts on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcast. As always, thanks for joining us. He's Tucker Berger. I'm Jake Snyder, and we will see you on Friday night.